13 years. Thank you for the invitation to be here. Special day, special luncheon. Carlton, it's great to be with you again, and it's a real honor to be introduced by a teammate and guy who I love and respect as well. Thank you. It means a lot to me to do that. And it's just, although I always get worried about these introductions, right? I mean, they're so one-sided, and it's, you know, it's just such an incomplete picture, right? They don't tell you the whole story. Okay, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, but I'm here to tell you the rest of the story, or at least part of the other story, is not only was I able to be on two teams that had historic comebacks in college and in the pro, but those, of course, are team records. You know, you're down by 32 points. It's obviously not a one-man show. It's a whole team, as Carlton alluded to. But I do hold one individual record that you forgot to mention to the crowd, and you were there. You saw me accomplish this individual record. I hold the record for the most fumbles in a Super Bowl game. That's one of the great things about sports. And that Super Bowl game was a month after our comeback game. And in the course of 1 month, we go from the greatest comeback in the NFL to the second worst defeat in Super Bowl history. And I set the record for the most fumbles. And but that's why a club like this is so important to me. You know, I didn't know what was going to go on here this morning, beforehand, but the check for $57,000, you know I travel the country a little bit, have a chance to do a few things like that. Those budget cuts are real. And for a club like this to be able to, for you to lend your support to a club like this, to attend these functions, for sponsors to do what they do, to enable that, those budget cuts are real, and there's more coming. And there's more coming. And athletic programs are going to get hit hard. And I'm not one of these guys who thinks athletic programs are the end-all, be-all to everything. You know, my children were involved in sports, and I'm thankful for that, because there are certain educational things that you just learn on the field of battle. Whether it's a swimming pool, as my daughters are swimmers, or whether it's a football field, a tennis court, there are certain life lessons that you can learn through sports that are very real. I like to look at it as sports provides a controlled environment. There's referees, there's a time clock, there's a beginning and an end, and in that time period there's going to be these intense emotional highs and emotional lows that you get to experience, and learning life lessons through that. And I've certainly been able to experience some of those and learn over the time. So that's why I so much appreciate the Charlotte Touchdown Club and the work that they do and your support of it and understanding how it is a team of people coming together to be able to give back in ways and help other people. I wanted to say a few things, you know, in the 20 or so minutes that I get to give my comments. I wanted to certainly also give my thanks to the sponsors and to Spirit Telecom, and having a chance to sit with them and hear a little bit about what they do. But I'm also here, my oldest daughter is here with me. Leah's in the back. Leah, just give a quick stand, a quick wave. She's in the back. So having raised 3 children here in this area, I'm very thankful for that, and for the environment that this city provided and all the opportunities this place provided for my family. And also my brother, somebody mentioned my brother's the head coach down at Wingate football. He reminds me all the time now that I'm the quarterback coach for the Colts, I got my coaching start from Wingate University. And he always reminds me of that. And so he's here with my nephew Shane, and I'm glad they're here as well. And then one other association that I have of people here, I'm not sure if they made it or not, but is a swim mat table here by chance? Yeah. Okay, those guys, and I know they were mentioned before, I might have been in a discussion, but you know, I've had a close association with the swim mat people, and I'm really proud and excited about what that program is doing. Not only bringing elite swimmers here, world record holders, American record holders, but also how that organization is really giving back to the community, doing a lot of learn to swim things in the inner city, things that I'd like to be involved in while I was here. So what I wanted to share with you for a couple moments was I always felt as a football player, one of the greatest compliments that you could receive was this, that guy, he's a real pro. He's a real pro. You know, it's one thing to be paid to play a sport, but it's another thing to be a pro. And I think about what I mean, now that I'm coaching in the NFL, understanding that that's not just a term for, right, for sports. We know that, and you know that, although you love and appreciate sports, you make your living in the business that you're in. But being a professional in whatever we do, being a pro in whatever we do is, I think, about the greatest compliment that you can receive. It says a lot. But what does it say? And I just wanted to share a few reflections on that and tell you a few stories along with it. And then at the end, do a quick 5-minute or so Q&A. But I like to keep things simple, and so I kind of like to use acronyms occasionally. And so I thought, well, keep it simple. To be a pro means to have a P, an R, and an O. And so it's a simple outline. It's simply to be a pro for me. The first point means to play with passion. If you want to be a pro at whatever you do, you got to play with passion. But what does it mean to play with passion? You hear a lot of coaches talking about emotion. You got to play. As a coach, you want your team to play with a lot of emotion. Emotion is a good thing. You got to ride those emotional highs. When you're down by 32 points in a game, there's times in that game where you're riding an emotional high. You're riding the fire and the screaming and the yelling in the stands. But when you think about it, emotion is primarily tied to the circumstances. The crowd, the big game, what's on the line. It's just true. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's a good thing. You should understand you should get jacked up when you go down that tunnel and you're playing in front of 80,000 people and millions watching on TV, or you're playing in a high school game and there's a couple thousand people there and it's your high school rivalry, it's a state game, whatever the case may be. That emotion that you gain from the circumstances, the big meet, the big game, whatever the case, is an important thing. And you'd be a fool not to feed off of that. So playing with emotion is important. But I think playing with passion, maybe I could say it this way: passion is emotion on steroids. Because while emotion is tied to circumstances, I believe passion is tied to purpose. And when you have a purpose that is something over and above the circumstances, you see where that gets you. It doesn't matter how many people are in the stands, because as these elite swimmers will tell you, as these elite football players will tell you, and as many of you who are participating in sports know, that there aren't big crowds at practice every day. There's nobody checking to see if you're waking up at 6 in the morning and doing what you're supposed to do. There's no one watching whether you're being disciplined and eating the way that you're supposed to eat and doing the things that you're supposed to do. So you've got to have something more than the circus, because if you need a crowd all the time to help you do the right thing, it's great to have teammates who help you do the right thing, but deep down you've got to have something in here, in your heart. You've got to be playing with passion, and that passion is connected to purpose. And I realize that this is a business luncheon and not a church service, but I'll just say this. If we're talking about what is that purpose, somehow, some way, I believe that purpose has got to be tied into helping other people. It's got to be about bringing out the best in other people. As an athlete, as a quarterback, I always felt like my job, as Carlton alluded to, was, go out there, play with great players, and help my teammates to succeed. Put them in the position to best succeed. As a husband, my job, my role is to see my wife flourish. For me to, as a husband, bring out the best in her. Do I bring out the best in my wife? Do I bring out the best in my children? Do I bring out the best in my teammates? Do I bring out the best in my work environment? Somehow I believe that's got to be connected to our purpose, because that changes everything. It's above, there's no question. I know I've experienced motivation from selfish greed. We all probably have, if we're being honest. And the truth is that selfish motivation can get you pretty far, and you can do some pretty significant things.